and that was the worst semester of my literal life, and we're technically homeless. Lessons that I've learned, people that I've interacted with, than most people have. I only have 35 minutes left on my SD card, so I literally have to edit tonight. There's no way I have to edit tonight if we're gonna make it through the rest of the week. But anyways, let's talk. Now I'm going to outline other parts of my application that I feel like will make me stronger, but also, like, I don't want this to be like a comparison thing. Like, I don't want y'all to compare like what I have going on to what you have going on, or vice versa, because I'm literally anti-comparison when it comes to the I'm so anti-comparison. I catch myself doing it every once in a while. So let's start with high school to now. One, in high school I did dual enrollment, so I did college classes in high school. My last year of high school, I was pretty much doing nothing but college classes, and I got my associates when I graduated, which cut down my time at Norfolk State, because rather than being at Norfolk State for a full 4 years, and in that full 4 years experience, I was there for 2.5. So, and I did classes every summer at Norfolk State. One summer I had to retake Gen Chem 2, and then another summer I had to take calculus. But I think at minimum I did one class each summer. From high school, well, I graduated high school in 2020, so we had COVID. And we didn't actually like graduate until like June. And then I didn't actually get my CNA license until like it fully went through in June. I started working in a nursing home back home from June to, I don't know, August, and then I'll come back like during the holidays and whatnot. And then my second semester at Norfolk State, I ended up staying home. I did everything online. I ended up staying home, and my grandmother passed, and that was the worst semester of my literal life. I think I got maybe 1 B. Everything else I think it was like C's. I had to look back at my transcript, but I'm pretty sure like it was like C's. That's the semester that I dropped Gen Chem and ended up retaking it in the summer. It was bad. It was bad. And in hindsight, I should have took a break. There's nothing I can do about that now. I can explain that in interviews or whatever, but it tanked my GPA. And there was no recovery from that. It didn't matter how well I did, there was no recovery from that. But also, while I was dealing with that, I also was working full time, right? Because then now we have an income gap in the house, because my grandmother and my grandfather Social Security checks were what was paying for the bills, because at the time my mama had just got approved for her disability. So that was that. By the way, there's a lot of aspects to the story now that I'm thinking about it. So, moment of transparency, me and my mom lost our house because she became disabled. She shattered her shoulder, and essentially like basically her whole arm, and it was not fixed in surgery. In fact, it got stiffer, and she ended up with diabetes, and she couldn't work. She tried working, it really didn't work out. We lost the house, and we're technically homeless. So my grandmother and my grandfather took us in, which is why we were there and why they were supporting us. That was the worst semester. I don't think I could have done better if I tried. I don't think me being in school that semester really messed me up, but at this point there was nothing I could do. So I worked that entire time. From the time I got my stuff out of Norfolk State in like December, I think me and my dad went and got all my stuff, and then I've been working from that point until I left June 13th, my birthday. I left June 13th. So from December to June, I was working in secondary care, full time, while in school. Was that smart? Probably not, but whatever. I mean, again, I can't do anything about that anymore, and I'm recognizing that and trying to relearn that. Then from June 13th, that was 2021, to that's the time that I need to go back to Norfolk State, because I ended up going back on campus. So from June to August, I ended up working in a FQHC, which is a federally qualified health center. Basically, they serve the underserved communities and providing like cheaper healthcare, essentially, but doing it at a very large scale. So I ended up working, this is my first time working in clinic, doing like primary based care. I ended up really liking it, really loved the people. When I came home, what was that? Okay, so that was my next semester. I did a lot better at Norfolk State. I don't think I had a single C. I did a lot better. And then the following semester after that, I was also doing good. In between, so that fall semester I didn't work. That spring semester I did secondary care at one of the nursing homes, Norfolk Health and Rehab at the time. I think that's still the name. Anyways, working there, I did part-time there. So I think I did like 2 to 3 shifts a week, and they were 8-hour shifts. Once again, I did really good in that semester. Well, not really good. My best semester was my last one, but I did decently enough that I felt okay about like how I was doing, essentially. And then from that summer, when I went home, I was working back in primary care again, same clinic. They took me back and I was working there, had my hours there. Great. Then we go back to my last semester, fall of 2022, and I do good in school, and then I come home. I graduate, I come home, and I'm working from December to when I leave again for Meharry in July. So across all of that time and all of that clinical time, I got about a little over 3,000 clinical hours. 1,200 of that was secondary care, and the other amount, 1,800, whatever, however many that I know, I have 2,000 primary care hours. That was primary, right? So that is how I am in the clinical space. Apparently, according to whatever data, I honestly don't know where, but according to data, that puts me in the top like 5% of people that apply to med school, how many clinical hours, patient-facing clinical hours they have. That's across paid and volunteering. I'm okay with that. I feel confident in that, right? I'm like, and I can, not just having the hours, but I can explain why they were significant, what I learned from them, and how that makes me a better doctor as well. So that doesn't make me unconfident or not prepared. What the feeling that I'm having is looking at my entire application and then being like, why would we let her in? That's my fear. And it's not, I don't feel like it's an unreasonable fear, but also, again, I'm trying not to compare, but when I'm talking to other people about applying to med school, and like they'll tell me what, you know, what schools they're applying to, what applications they're doing. And mind you, these are white boys, and white boys from Vandy, or this other boy, I don't know where he's from, but he wants to get into Harvard. Okay, no pressure. Like, and they all, I think what also makes it like a little scary is that they all have these dreams of like doing anesthesia or orthopedics or like any type of surgery, honestly, and those things are hard to match into. Me, I just want to do med peds. And I feel like, I don't know, in a way I feel like it makes me feel smaller than what I am, and I'm trying not to feel that way, but I also don't know how to not feel that way. Like, I haven't figured it out yet. I just want to do med peds. Let me turn this off. But also, like, not only do I want to do med peds, I don't want to do it in the city, because that's kind of the point of me doing med peds. And then I could, for me, it's okay if I stop at med peds. I want to do med peds rheumatology. So, and then there's like the whole thing with there's not necessarily a black med peds rheumatologist yet. As far as I know, there was one in fellowship at Duke. I think I looked 2 years ago. The fellowship is 4 years, so we might have one in the entire country. Mind you, there's 16 programs in the country. Half of them have racist histories, so there's that. that's not even really a factor right now. I'm not even thinking about it right now, honestly. But I don't know. I just think maybe I feel small when I'm next to people that have these big dreams and high stats and whatnot. Like, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain what I feel, but I know what I feel is valid, and I know, well, not valid. I know what I feel is it's just anxiety. I feel like it's just anxiety. I'm scared that when I apply, I will be rejected. I'm also scared that when I apply, I'll be let in. Like it's a double-sided sword, or what is it? A double-edged sword, because I still feel like even when I get let in, I'm still gonna be questioning everything, literally everything. And I'm also scared about the MCAT because this will be my third time taking it, and I don't know. I don't know. Like I want to have confidence in myself that I can do good, but I also know that it's been such a long time since I've been able to just be. I'm always 10,000 things. I'm a researcher. I'm a researcher. I'm a church leader. The church leadership stuff don't even, it's so natural to me that I don't really think about it or stress about it often. It's really just the MCAT, if we're being completely honest. And everything I do, all the schools I apply to, where I eventually get in, is all going to be dependent on my MCAT score, because everything else is solid. Everything else is solid. Everything else stays. There's nothing more from right this point on. There's nothing more that can be added to my application that is not already in the works other than my MCAT score. That's it. I think that's maybe that's the gut-wrenching part, is that when I started this journey to wanting to be a doctor, there was always something else to add. And at this point in time, there is nothing else to add. I'm at the end of this journey of at least applying to medical school. There's nothing else I can add at all. I can't, what am I supposed to do? What is it that I'm supposed to do? Shadow another doctor? I have 3,000 clinical hours. I have more stories about things that have happened in clinic, lessons that I've learned, people that I've interacted with, than most people have. They usually get those stories in their rotations or in their residency. What value could shadowing add to, maybe another letter? I have a great relationship with the doctor that writes my letter. And that's another thing. I've asked for letters to be written twice. I haven't applied twice. I applied to DO schools once before. I applied to my master's program once again, just like I have to have letters for that. And another thing that I'm afraid of is like my letter writers. I have one from Norfolk State. I have the doctor that I worked with, and I have the people like I have a PI, and then I know the vice president of research at my institution, and he's gonna write me a letter as well. But those are like decent letters. I mean, not decent, because they all know me pretty well and can attest to like what I have going on. But I don't know. If I feel bad for asking for it again. I don't know. I just feel bad. I feel like, you wrote this letter twice before, and it's like, what have you done with my recommendation? Like I don't think the doctor is gonna feel that way, but I don't know. I don't know. And I also feel like I don't have like the best relationships with my past professors, not because we had like a falling out or anything, but because I don't think I'm rememberable. Like that's it. Like, why would you remember me? I mean, and then at this point, it's been, what year is it? It's 2025. I graduated in 2022. The end of 2022. You can basically say 2023. So it's been 2 years. We're 2 years removed from me being at Norfolk State. Why? I don't know. So I guess that's the two things that I'm really feeling is like, one, there's nothing more that I can add to my application other than the MCAT. Two, why would my letter writers write me letters if they've already done it before and nothing Well, not nothing, but the thing that I wanted to come for that didn't. Anyways. That's how I feel right now. But I didn't even explain to y'all my entire application. So we have the 3,000 clinical hours. We're hoping and praying for a really good MCAT score of 515 plus. According, now I did use AI, at least for this, but I give ChatGPT a prompt of like, don't lie to me and do not sugarcoat anything. If I outline this plan and this works, what score do you predict can come from this? And then if this does not work, I do everything but it still doesn't work, what score do you predict from that? And at minimum they're saying 508, max they're saying 519, 520. We'll see if it happens. I mean, I'm gonna do my best, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna do everything that I have to do, but if I can actually get that 519, I don't know. I feel like it would be great. I would get in somewhere. This is also one of the problems I think I have, is that I don't acknowledge my accomplishments. It's kind of just like a whatever. I don't know if y'all are like that too. This vlog is gonna be long because I've been yapping. I have gotten like no content. I didn't show y'all eating my taco. I didn't show y'all at work. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I need to yap and get this off. The 519 would be great. It'll be great. That's all I really have to say. I feel like it'll be great, but I feel like I put myself in such a box that it's like I don't think it's possible. That's what's crazy to me. Is that I've done all of these things. First person in my entire family line to have a bachelor's degree. Cool. First person to definitely have a master's degree. Cool. About to be the first person to ever go to medical school. Cool. Why is that not enough for me? What? No, literally, I don't know anyone else doing all the things that I do. And for whatever reason, it's like it's not enough. It's not enough to convince myself. I'm sure it's enough to convince a medical board, an admissions board. Hell, it was enough to convince my boss to hire me. But for whatever reason, it's not enough for myself. I don't know how to feel that. I don't know how to feel. I'm trying to not like beat myself up, and I'm trying to just pray on it and all of that. But yeah, it's tricky. Anyways, other aspects of my application, we can go into research. In research, we submitted one paper already. The first time it got rejected. The second time is still in review, so we will know if that will be like fully submitted at the end of the year. Hopefully before then. It still have to, even if they accept it, it'll still have to come back with revisions, and we'll have to do those and all of that. Cool. That's one paper that I'm co-author on. I'm listed as third author. I'm working on my first author paper. The goal is to have that submitted by the end of the year. Is it possible? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've already planned my schedule accordingly to get all the stuff done. So I literally just have to go through the motions with that. That's it. Just got to go through the motions. We are working on the data that I've been talking about, like the thing that I troubleshooted to death, the seahorse data. I think the seahorse data alone, with a little slide staining or IHC or immunohistochemistry, depending on if you know what that is. I try to explain things just in case everybody doesn't know. That alone could be a paper in itself. It could. If not, it's a poster, and it'll be a poster that could be presented at our national conference, ARVO. So having two papers and a poster, at minimum a poster. It could be 3 papers in a poster by the time I submit my application. It's pretty much guaranteed at this point. I'm working on a clinical study with same institution, same boss. So there's that. And then in the leadership and volunteering space, I had 2 major leadership positions while I was at Norfolk State. I was the community service chair for both of these organizations, for Biology Society and for MAPS. I've had leadership positions forever. I was vice president of my youth department at church, at my old church in high school. I was president and vice president of a organization called Top Teens of America in high school. I was technically in college at the same time, but whatever. So leadership positions there in the past, cool. Director of Christian Education at my church currently. I'm also director of health and wellness. As director of health and wellness, I do a lot of different things, and we are currently working with this grant program called EPIC. EPIC stands for EPIC stands for Engaging Partners in Caring Communities. It's a attempt to correct some health disparities. They will be studying us for pretty much long term, just providing education through ministry and through churches. That is in partnership with Meharry TSU and Vanderbilt. So I lead that. And then in the director of Christian Education, we are also teaching a class on spiritual gifts called Shape. I can go more into that on a later date, or like post one of our classes on YouTube. It depends. It depends on what I can get out of that as far as like content. But I do a lot of different things in the church, and they all come very naturally to me. It's not, nobody's ever asking me to have to or begging me to do anything. All of that comes very naturally, and I feel like my application shows an extended amount of serving communities, because that's all I've done, and that's like something I love to do. Like I don't just do things to do them. I've never been that person. I do things because I want to. Even like the way I treat people, or like things that I'll like do for people or get things, I've always done it because I wanted to, not because I felt like I needed to or I felt like I had to. So that's that part of my application. Academically, can't do nothing about that. I got a master's. So, but for whatever reason, even though that felt like that was a lot, I still having a hard time convincing myself. I'm just, give me like 3 weeks. Give me like 3 weeks. I'll convince myself in about 3 weeks. Oh, by the way, I did all of that while working. Other than my master's program, I wasn't working during that. I ended up working towards the end, but I wasn't working through most of it. But all the leadership while I'm in school, all the working, with that exception, while I'm in school. Probably why my academic record is mediocre in comparison to the average for medical school applicants. On top of all of that, I have lupus, so my body again tries to kill itself often, especially when I'm stressed. My diagnosis of lupus was literally the most chemically altering thing in my brain ever. I always knew I wanted to do medicine. I always knew I wanted to be a doctor. But I cried for weeks. There was a point in time where I couldn't walk. And not just like, oh, I'm having trouble walking today. Like, I could not walk for weeks unassisted. I was crippled. Then on top of that, my test results showed signs of a blood clotting disorder that ensured that I would not be able to safely have kids. Still can't. That blood clotting disorder, I God willing, have not tested positive for that again. How did that happen? Only God knows. But I would still be a very high risk pregnancy. I mean, extremely high risk because, but all of that makes me this applicant, and I don't know, I'm not the cookie cutter type A applicant, which I feel like is what is also making me question things, because I don't see anybody that looks like me as far as where I stand as an applicant, or as far as what I look like, or as far as the problems that I've had with my body, or anything related to how I am. I don't see that publicly. So I feel like I'm having a hard time walking into something not knowing that it's possible. Anyways, I have faith in God that all things are possible, and my purpose is my purpose, and I'm gonna get there by any means He sees necessary. But that's just sometimes you just got to sit in your emotions, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. Anyways, I'm done talking y'all ears off. I'm not studying today. I'm sorry. I know it's called Study Like a Med Student, and I did not study today, but we'll be back tomorrow. I actually need to edit because I have all of 7 minutes left on this SD card, and I either need to move things to a hard drive or start to edit at least the first video and have it uploaded. So I'm about to do that, and then I will see y'all tomorrow, hopefully.